Hello. So today we are going to continue working with our quadratic equations. Remember, quadratic equations looks something similar to what I have already written right here, right? Where it's an x squared plus a something x minus a number equals 0, right? Today, we are going to remind ourselves about factoring. I taught you about factoring before spring break, and you guys got very good at it. And so now we're going to take factoring of polynomials and use that to help us solve for our x, our variable, our placeholder in a quadratic equation. Okay, so first let's review factoring. So if we looked just at this part right here, and if we ignored the equals 0 part for now, this is a polynomial that can be factored just like you did before spring break. So remember, you would use your circle problems, right? Where we're looking for two numbers that will multiply to give us a negative 21, and we got that from right here, and add to give us a positive 4, and we got that from right here. Okay? Let's see if I was afraid of that. So I hope by now you've kind of looked at this as I was messing around and realized that the two numbers we're going to be looking for are a positive 7 and a negative 3. Therefore, we know that if we factor this polynomial, the factors are going to be x plus 7 and x minus 3. So if we put that in for our polynomial, we know that these two things multiplied together are going to equal 0. Well, if you remember, the only way to get something to equal 0 is if we multiply it by 0, right? 0 times anything is going to be 0. So therefore, when you look at this equation, we know, therefore, that either x plus 7 has to equal 0, because then that times x minus 3 is going to equal 0, or x minus 3 equals 0. One or the other is going to work here, right? So you just use your algebra and you get that x is going to equal a negative 7 or x is going to equal a positive 3. That's your answer, and it is that simple. Let's put it into practice. Okay, well here I didn't give you the polynomial. I already did the factoring for you, and we've got x times x minus 5 equals 0. That means that either this has to equal 0 or this has to equal 0. So you just separate them out, right? So x equals 0 or x minus 5 equals 0, and you solve. Well, on this first one, x equals 0, there's nothing else to solve. That is one of the options for what our placeholder could equal. The other option then, if we use our algebra, is going to be that x could equal 5. So your answer is x equals 0 or 5. And you're done. All right. I've got two problems right here for you. I want you to pause the video and I want you to try these two on your own. Go ahead, pause the video. Okay, let's look at how we work this. So this first one, either this equals 0 or this equals 0. So that means that x equals 0 or x plus 4 equals 0. Use your algebra here because on the other one there's nothing that you need to do. So therefore our answer comes out to x equals 0 or negative 4. Okay, well now let's look at this one, the second one. This one means that either x plus 4 or x minus 3 needs to equal 0. All right, use your algebra. That means that x equals a negative 4 or x equals a positive 3. How'd you do? All right, stay with me. We're going to try to jump to a little bit more complicated. The only thing here, when you see something like this, you've got your quadratic equation, a polynomial equal to 0. You just have to factor before you can tell me what x equals. So let's go ahead and factor. We need it to multiply to be 10, but add to be 7. Well, these two numbers would be 5 and 2. That means that x plus 5 times x plus 2 equals 0. Okay, set it up. This has to equal 0 or this. So that means that x plus 5 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. This means, do your algebra, that x is going to equal a negative 5 or a negative 2. Okay. Now, let's look at this one that I have here. X squared plus 2x equals 8. Well, I hope you see that that's a little different than what we've been doing, because I've got that it equals 8, not equals 0. Well, that's easy to fix and put it into that format you're used to seeing. Just subtract 8 from both sides. When we do that, we've created a 0 over here on the right. On the left, we now have our polynomial in standard form. Now you can factor. We want it to multiply to be a negative 8, but add to be 2. This is going to be 4 and negative 2. So therefore, x plus 4 times x minus 2 equals 0. Either that or that is going to equal 0. So therefore, x plus 4 equals 0, or x minus 2 equals 0, x equals a negative 4 or a positive 2. I know I'm going fast when we get down to that algebra, but I feel like that's simple enough. You guys are seeing that now. Okay, I just want to refresh your memory in case you see something like this, where we've got a coefficient in front of our x squared that isn't a 1. Remember, you're still going to factor just like you did before spring break, but now when we go to find the number that we need to multiply to, we've got to multiply the 2 times the negative 3. So this is going to be a negative 6. We're going to add to get a 5. So that means positive 6 and negative 1 will do that. So when you put this in, you've got 2x squared plus 6x minus x minus 3 equals 0. Well, remember, when you've got it set up like this, take this first, pull out that 2x, you get left with x plus 3, and then over here, you're going to pull out a negative 1, and you'll get left with x plus 3 equals 0. Now, rewrite it. 2x minus 1 times x plus 3 equals 0. So all I did was factor like I've always factored before, but now we've got it in the format that we know how to solve. Either 2x minus 1 has to equal 0, or x plus 3 equals 0. And so if you said, let's just write them out, you're right. So if I do this one on the right, x is going to equal a -3. Let's work this one out. I get 2x equals 1. That means x is going to equal 1/2 because I've got to divide by 2 on both sides. Okay. Okay, last one that I want to show you. So all of the parts of our polynomial are here, but it's not equal to 0. And you've got this coefficient up front here with a negative sign. That's different than what we've been seeing. And in fact, to make your life easy, you're going to want that coefficient to be positive. Well, how can we make this positive? Well, what if we create a 0 here? If we add 3x squared to this side, that means we've got to add it to the other side. -3x squared plus 3x squared is going to be our 0 that we're looking for. And then now we have our positive coefficient in front of the x squared. And we have our polynomial in standard form. You now know how to factor this, but I'm going to go over it just in case. Notice that all three numbers have a common factor of 3. To make this easier, pull that 3 out first. So you're going to have 3 times x squared plus 6x plus 9. Well, now you have to factor this, right? So if you use your circle problem, you're going to multiply 9, add to give 6. This is going to be a 3 and a 3. So therefore, x plus 3 times x plus 3 times 3 all equals 0. Okay, well, let's look at this. One of our factors has to equal 0 in order for this whole thing to equal 0. Can this equal 0? Nope. What about this? Could that equal 0? Yeah. So x plus 3 can equal 0. What about this one? Oh wait, it's still an x plus 3. So that means we only have to work out one of them. That means in this case, there's only going to be one possible value for x. Your x is going to equal -3 because you subtract 3 from both sides. Okay? So if this is making sense to you, wonderful. You're set, ready to go to do your assignment for the day. If you've got questions, if you're confused, I'm on the Zoom. Come ask. I hope you have a great day. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.